Just before Easter, I wrote an email to my subscribers talking about how my wife has a problem, and that is that she doesn't really have any hobbies. Aside from swimming twice a week, which keeps her incredibly fit, and yoga pretty much every night, she really doesn't have anything much outside of work. And a lot of this has come about as some of my readers have pointed out to me and viewers have pointed out to me in emails that it's come about through Chinese culture. And even my wife has explained this to me, that because there's no safety net in China, most people live with this constant fear of running out of money, of not having enough resources to take care of themselves or their family if something goes wrong. We're very lucky here in Australia. We have great medical services, we have Medicare for everybody, and we have social safety nets that ensure that pretty much everybody should be able to at least get food in their belly, clothes on their back, and hopefully somewhere warm to sleep at night. Although, like a lot of places in the Western world, the cost of accommodation these days is just getting more and more out of reach of many people. Anyway, I digress. Because of this culture that she's grown up in, where you need to make as much money as you can and stash away as much as you can and not indulge in your needs and wants outside of absolutes, it's very hard for a lot of Chinese people to, even when they move to a country like Australia, where there is a lot more freedom, there is a lot more of a safety net if things go wrong, they find it very hard to just sort of relax and just enjoy something, to engage in pleasure for pleasure's sake. Because for so long they've been raised in a culture where everything you do must have a specific end in mind. The interactions you have with people, by and large, are either to further your career or further your business interests or protect the layer of security that you've built around yourself and your future prospects. But lately, my wife has started to think very much along the lines that I have pretty much since I turned 40. And if I'm honest, probably most of my life, because I've always questioned things growing up. And that is that much of what she does, just like much of what many of us doesn't have a whole lot of meaning to it. Sure, it can help us meet an end, meet a particular goal or a need, provide for our families, provide security, health benefits, shelter, food, all that sort of stuff. But beyond that, for many of us, it doesn't have a whole lot of meaning to it. But she doesn't know what to do about it. Because unlike me, as you would know if you've watched my work for a while, I've had hobbies pretty much my whole life. I've been into photography since I was 12. I started driving when I was 8, and that's when my passion for cars really began. So just with those two alone, I've had these all-encompassing, all-engrossing passions for photography and for cars since I was a little kid. And other interests have sort of come and go in that, and obviously creating videos is a more recent one. But I had those. And so, like I'm doing right this moment, I can drive to a location not far from home and just look out at the beautiful scenery, take out my camera and take the occasional photo. And if nothing else, enjoy a sunset or no sunset, but just enjoy being out here in nature and listen to the birds and having a bit of beautiful fresh air. She hasn't quite figured out yet what her thing is. I mean, she bought a camera for herself probably 5 years ago. And I honestly don't think she's taken a single photo with it. My son, Tommy, has been using it this year for photography classes at school. And I've used it a couple of times just for fun. It's a little Canon M3, fantastic little compact camera, the predecessor to the M6 and then the M6 Mark II, which I owned a couple of. Awesome little cameras. I've been a workaholic at different periods, different times in my life, sometimes for long periods, sometimes working 24 hours straight on multiple days in a week. Some of it driven by a perceived necessity because of a project, some of it out of blind ambition to try and get ahead and make something happen. Sometimes to get away from my ex-wife because it was more enjoyable to sit in front of my computer and work than have to talk to her. I'm sure a few people can relate to that. But at least when things have gotten too much for me, I've had the relief of getting in a car and enjoying just being in a car and going for a drive. The thing is, even though I have been a workaholic many times, it hasn't been something that's been infused in me through culture. My dad was a hard worker, but my dad also understood the value of spending time with family, of spending time alone out in the bush, whether it was camping or deer hunting or his epic trip around Australia in an old Holden FJ utility, which only got one flat tire on the whole trip. You know, long walks along the beach, that sort of stuff. My dad has always understood the value of decompressing and getting away from work and being more than just a person who does X for a living. In his case, building things, being a builder. So that was a valuable lesson from my dad. I got a lot of valuable lessons from my dad, chief amongst them, you know, to work ethically, to work honestly, and to work hard, but not to work too much. It's the difference between working hard and working too much. And he got that balance right, I think. So therefore, I have always understood the value of downing tools, stopping what I'm doing, putting a limit to my ambitions and the amount of time I'm prepared to invest in them, and health and lifespan that I'm prepared to invest in them, in order to simply enjoy being alive, being out here, being out amongst this. So my suggestion to you, as it was to my readers, kind of preaching to the converted there, I guess, but if you find that you're struggling to get away from being a workaholic and struggling to find a hobby that you can really engage with, think about, strategize, learn about, grow with, appreciate and enjoy, not just the places that you can go, the things you can see, but the way the world reveals itself to you, and also the people that you get to spend time with photos being kind of a happy bonus at the end of it all, then photography, particularly outdoor photography, whether it's landscapes or it's cars or it's architecture or it's macro, is one of the most beautiful and rewarding ways to spend your time. It truly is. I mean, it's so peaceful out here right now. I will get out of the car in a minute after I finish talking to you. And if you're already doing photography, which I suspect many of you are who are watching this, then my other suggestion is just do more of it. Give yourself permission to do more of it, or do a different kind of photography. You know, I recently wrote a guide on car photography because I've done it for 3.5 decades. And I've noticed a number of people who've bought my guide and who have said they're going to buy the guide have said that they see it as an opportunity to try a completely new genre of photography, because a lot of them are into cars who watch my videos, because I feature cars from time to time, particularly Porsches, because I've always loved Porsches. And, I've got a couple of them now. The one I'm sitting in, the Cayenne that I just bought, and, of course, my Boxster. And so a lot of them are thinking, well, maybe I should try car photography too. And really it opens up a whole bunch of new opportunities for you. Because when you go on a road trip, you can not only look for beautiful things to photograph out in the landscape, but you can also take some interesting photos of your car. And if you learn how to do good landscape photography and you can get a car into a beautiful landscape scene, well then the kinds of images you can create from that are truly unique, because it's one of the most difficult genres of photography is outdoor landscape-based car photography, because you have to get a whole bunch of things right, and it's not easy, but it is super rewarding. So, try a different kind of photography, or set yourself a kind of a challenge of a series of photos that you want to take of a particular subject or topic, or genre. One thing I'd like to do is just take photos, like a series of photos of my Porsche Boxster in very different types of locations around the country. Or to photograph, just do a whole thing on just trees, because I love trees. So that's another thing I'd like to do, is a series on trees. But think in these terms, because having something like that, whether you're going to do a sort of a series of photos like that, or you're going to do a photo project, or you're going to try a new genre of photography, or maybe you're going to do, a calendar or a book, a small book, self-publish a small book, self-print a book, whether it's published or it's not, you're just printing for yourself and friends. Those kinds of things, they give you something to think about, something to sort of go to sleep at night strategizing and planning and looking forward to, and thinking about, oh, maybe I could do this and maybe I could go there, and oh yeah, I haven't been to that place for a long time. I remember there was this thing there, and there was that thing there. Maybe I could photograph that. This is all stuff that calms the mind but excites the senses at the same time. It's a weird paradox. This is what a really good hobby can do for you. It can engage you in a way that settles you down and calms you down and alleviates a lot of the stress and pressures that we impose on ourselves, while simultaneously exciting us for something that we truly love, something creative. Anyway, I'm going to get out and take some photos. So, nice talking to you. Take care of yourself. Take photos.